I have few slides actually I want to show you. The masala gets even more interesting. Next slide, please. So this is really, you can see it. I think when you come here, you can see the entrepreneurship started by selling laminate, right? I mean, that's what you keep on hearing. The kids, younger kids, you know, they say, okay, I'll sell laminate. The point here is that laminate has to be global now, right? You have to go to all different countries, euro, dollars, yen, and stuff like that. Next slide, but it's even more interesting. Forget laminate, real money in bottled water. Okay. Next one. This is a lot of people, when they come in there, that's what they think about. The entrepreneurship is all about getting rich quick scheme. You know, just make it fast bucks and get out, which is not really true, but next one. This is, why should I give you my signature, you know, because you will sell only in the eBay. Go to market is very important, by the way, you know. Having ideas, but figuring it out how you're really going to take it, make it successful, to me is the most important aspect, which I learned from my experience starting companies in 1983, first one. I found myself that we had such a great product, which makes technically, as an engineer, make a lot of sense. But didn't make any sense for the business perspective. And it failed. Because you had to make a sale to 3 people to sell that product. Forget about one side. It was voice, data, video, integrated PBX, which was too early for its time. And at the same time, it was very difficult to make a sales because the IT department was not integrated at that particular time. And that's a very simple thing. You can miss and miss the boat. It also tells you that it's not the only thing, you know, which is, if you're unsuccessful, it does not mean that you give up. You keep on trying. And then next one, you become a little bit wiser and you don't make the same mistakes. And you can really make it up. Next one. This is very interesting, you know. This is risk-taking, which we talked about, you know. With my brains and your money, we have nothing to lose other than your money. Look at the next slide. So my idea of risk and reward is for me to get the reward and others to take the risk. But this is not true either. Okay. Next one. I thought this was really good because whenever you start, you need a seed money. So, you know, you need little seed money. Nowadays, that little is really, as you know, the expenses in the Bay Area is quite a bit. So my definition is really one who perceives the market opportunity, then has the motivation, drive, and the ability to mobilize resources to meet it. That's really, in a very concise form, is an entrepreneur could be.
Oh, that's really good. Now I'm starting to get it. It's the crazy Indian masala delivered to the world by Santa Claus. Right? I'm starting to get there. Before I get to Vivek, I want to get to the youngster there. Considering Alagu, what is your perception of an entrepreneur?
Well, you know, as a youngster growing up in the internet age, one of the first things I did when Ashish told me that we had to start defining entrepreneurship is one of the first questions I went into a Google search on it. You know, as usual, found like pages and pages of stuff. But I've always relied on this thing called Wikipedia. So I went there, saw the definition of entrepreneurship, and it said, I think it said something like the practice of starting new organizations or something like that. And then it went on and on about how entrepreneurship is the American way, and, you know, blah blah. But I think one of the key themes that it talked about was risk taking, which I think, you know, all of the previous folks have talked about. And one of the things that I'm always reminded about when I'm thinking about, you know, any entrepreneurial idea or anything is actually one of the Thai events I attended. It was a panel discussion. In fact, it was about voice over IP, and there's a Picturetel CEO and the WebEx CEO. He's a really funny guy. You should listen to the WebEx CEO. And one of the things he said, which has sort of stuck with me and you know, I repeat it to a lot of people. He said, to be an entrepreneur, you either need to be naive or you need to be arrogant. There's no in between. You got to be naive or arrogant, and I've actually experienced this myself. A couple of years ago, a friend of mine, Charles, who worked with me and myself, we decided to go. We wanted to start a company. We never actually did that. Charles is off. He's CEO of another company called Nevis. But we spent about 6 months meeting at a Starbucks, in Menlo Park. And every day we used to, get our ideas together and then spend 2 hours drinking coffee and thrashing the ideas out. The problem was, we were neither naive nor arrogant. We were just overanalyzing every idea. Right? So the thing that the WebEx CEO was saying is, for you to be an entrepreneur, if you're naive, you just jump into an idea and you just go do it. You think you can do it even though you don't know anything about the subject or the area or the business model or any of that. And then the other extreme is the arrogant. You think you know everything and you just go do it. So that's pretty important. I mean, the whole risk taking is a fairly important aspect of being an entrepreneur. And if you overanalyze something, you're not going to be one of those extremes, and it's going to be really hard to analyze things to that.
This is getting even more interesting now. This is about the crazy Indian masala, delivered according to the Wikipedia now. Internet is coming to the picture. What do you think, Vivek? I mean, after having watched so many things happen so many years, what is your definition?
So I think that rather than go into these eardrums again, maybe I'll just keep this far away from me. But I think that if you look at sitting across the table from a lot of entrepreneurs, it's still interesting that despite the big shakeout after the tech wreck, there's still a lot of people who basically are doing it because they just want to make money quickly. And it's amazing that it still exists today. But I think that you see, in some sense, two different sides of the same thing, which is you find that people who are successful as entrepreneurs have an itch to scratch. And it won't go away. And they just have this itch and they just gotta get at it. And at the same time, despite the fact that they have this single itch that they need to scratch, they also have that humility that says that I know that whatever itch I'm going to start out scratching will actually turn out to be a completely different itch by the time I finish this. Because many of the successful businesses actually have made turns, along the way into, whatever opportunity arose. And that combination of having that sort of relentlessness and at the same time the flexibility is, I think, pretty unique and interesting. I think the second thing that you find, or that you look for, at least from my sort of, brief period in the venture capital business, is a great sense of optimism. To the point you made that, optimism comes out of either naivete because you don't know all the risks, or an arrogance because you discount all the risks. But ultimately, it really has that incredible amount of optimism, coupled with, what I just mentioned earlier, which is resilience, which is just this incredible faith in yourself, so that, when life kind of throws you down, you go, just get up and get out and get going again, even if it means going in a different direction. So I would say that, if you look at entrepreneurialism, it really is, everything that you talked about. But I would say, couple that with this sense of, having a direction, being willing to change it.
Wonderful, wonderful. I think if you just flip to the next, there you go. I think it's really trying to capture all of the things that you talked about. It is really about identifying pain points as opportunities. Most people look at pain points as pain points. These are problems. Most entrepreneurs look at that as an opportunity. I saw some slides up there where people are trying to sell water instead of lemonade, because why put that extra effort? Just pour the water down and charge them in euros. Takes calculated risk. That's important. It's not about blind risk. It's about calculated risk. Not overanalyzing, but doing that in a positive way. At the same time, leading positively. Very passionate, unconventional. There's no space for conventional wisdom in this space. It's not there. And it's completely open for judgment. And ultimately, what it does is really it creates new jobs, and the entrepreneur does get paid for it. How much is a matter of time, and some people actually end up losing everything in the process.